Good afternoon, everyone, and good evening, actually. And my topic today is need of occupational therapy in autism intervention. And I'm very thankful to Mr. Pramod and Mrs. Sonia and some other persons who are involved with Autism Parents Forum, and they're doing a very good job. Uh, and my topic is actually because we actually chose this topic because I really feel that all the therapists, all the professionals and parents are involved in OT intervention after they get diagnosis, but they really don't know what is occupational therapy, what occupational therapist does, because we generally, when we get a diagnosis, we are into that thing, that zone, that it's very difficult for us to know what exactly a professional does, what a psychologist does, what a speech therapist does, what a language therapist does, what occupational therapist does, what the other professionals who are there involved, what they do for our kid. So, when a child gets a diagnosis of any developmental disorder like cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, autism, ADHD, etc., and they get referred to an occupational therapist, the parents generally don't know and they ask, what is occupational therapy? How these professionals work? I'm here to answer those queries today, and thank you all the participants who have enrolled themselves to discuss and to participate in this. And I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. I've done my master's from New Delhi ISIC, but I'm practicing in Odisha, Barampur. It's a small city here, and I have completed my SI certification and a therapeutic license, therapeutic listening courses, and OPT, that is oral placement therapy level 1 and 2, and some other things where I have I'm doing practice there. And I have a center, that is Occupational Therapy Center in Odisha. So I think that is there for my introduction. And so can we start, Pramoji, now? Pramoji and Sangeeta ji?
Yeah,
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah.
You can.
So the first is the role of, yeah, hello?
Yes, Swati, please
Yeah.
continue.
So the role of occupational therapist, yeah. The role of an occupational therapist would be to put a child or an adult gets into or gets back to his occupation. Because when we talk about a child, we need to, that the child should be into the occupation. And when we talk about adult, after a trauma or after a stroke, after spinal cord injury, how they will get into their occupation. So it's about child or adult. Okay, I deal with kids and children, and my job is to ensure to put them into their occupation. You must be wondering that what is the occupation of a child, right? Occupation means job, where we do, like, I'm a therapist, you must be into software thing. So these are the occupations. But what is the occupation of a child? But actually, occupation is defined as a meaningful everyday activity, what we generally do every day. Okay, that may be ADL tasks, that may be household chores, that may be a role of student, a role of player, anything what we do every day, which is purposeful, which is a meaning, that is actually occupation. And often everyone label us that a child is typical or atypical after seeing a child's occupation, how a child is engaged in school, how a child is engaged in his ADL activities, how he's talking, how he's reading. By those means only, actually we think that the child is typical or atypical, or they have some limitations or their strengths. Okay, so there are many things that a child does. Okay, be it ADL, okay, independence in ADL, be it class activities, study activities, be it monitoring the class, be it leisure activity, be it helping father or mother in household chores, be it peer interaction, be it sibling interaction, how we play with siblings, be it Other activities like in social communication, how we learn from society, how we learn from environment, okay, and in household chores. So these all are occupation of a child. If we'll see that what a child does in a single day, he does these things, and if we'll have problem with these areas, then we think, okay, our child needs help in this thing, okay. um, so so these are the areas where we can help our kids. Okay, so what are the signs that can help to decide if a child needs occupational therapy or not? If you're finding any issues with any of the occupation of your child, you need to have an OT referral. If your child is not mingling with kids, not showing appropriate emotions, not able to initiate ADL functions, engaging in repetitive and solitary play, not achieving the same age milestones, not able to bond with you as a son or as a daughter, he's fearful or anxious of a new place or a new activity or a person, you can think of an OT. Okay, so here OT assessment. So I have just included few of them here where you can think of an OT assessment and maybe OT intervention. It cannot be just attribute to some disorder or something. You can also help your child, and OT assessment and intervention can also help your child if at all you don't have any disorder or any labeling or anything. Okay, so if there is lack of eye contact, name calling, environmental awareness, lack of sitting and standing tolerance, exploration of environment is lacking, attention and focus is lacking, there is inability to learn things, unable to attend ADL independence, lack of fine motor skills, gross motor skills, academic difficulties, feeding difficulties, lack of abstract thinking and problem solving skills, that is executive function skills, lack of bonding, lack of age appropriate play, communication difficulties, lack of social participation, difficulty in creating and maintaining peer interaction, and many more to add this list. Okay, so now I'm going to add to this thing that any function of the child has the basis of brain function and brain development. Why this line is important? Because we think that everything we are doing are all the things are functions of our body parts. Like if somebody posture is sluggish, if somebody is sitting like this, we think that why the posture is sluggish. But it's not about only posture, it's about brain function. The brain is sending some signals. That is the reason the posture is like that the person may be hungry, the person may be tired, uh, the person may be depressed. So it's all about brain function. All exterior movements, all exterior functions are attributes to the brain function. Let's take an example of walking. It's not just exterior, okay, that it's the exterior function of legs. It's about your brain sending signals to your parts. You are noticing to the environment, is there some danger or not, is the floor smooth or floor is very zigzag manner. If I need to walk fast because I need to reach there, I need to walk slow. So these all are attributes and components for which actually decides how we walk. So ultimately, these all are of brain function and brain development. Okay, so it's not only about if a child is not able to do any occupation, it's not about only exterior, it's about brain. Okay, how your brain is leading it. So every function is a combination of multiple abilities. Okay, if somebody is not able to put on clothes independently, so it's not about he doesn't know how to put on the clothes. Maybe he may have problems with his tone is not that much appropriate. Maybe he has problem with midline crossing, he's not able to cross the midline. Maybe he's fearful of when the shirt is going down, he's very fearful of that sight loss. So there are lots of reasons, there are multiple abilities if a child needs to attend a function, a very small function. Forget about speech, forget about academic difficulties. These are very small things which are like ADL functions, household chores. Those are also very high level of skills are required, brain skills are required. I want to discuss about putting on cloths now. Putting on, oh, sorry. think, okay. Okay, I think I want to talk about putting on clothes. It's an ideal function. We assume that it's need to be done with practice. Okay, generally we are told by the therapist that you involve your kids in ideal activities. But sometimes we think, is that important that we should include ideal activities in that? We should be independent in ideal activities, definitely, because if a child is not able to do it, then what you will do, you will after repeated practice, you will do repeated practice, you will use some intervention like chaining or shaping so that he will acquire it. But what if still he doesn't do? Now as a parent you may think, can I do something else by which my child can be handled with more ease? Here we can work on his self regulation by understanding his sensory system and brain development. If he will have his foundation strong, or you may say he is self regulated, he may learn the skill of putting off clothes with lesser effort and more ease, so that the skill is learned in multiple ways. Because when our therapist says that you need to make him learn how to put on clothes, we use lots of effort to make them learn, but still they are irritable, they are not into why I will do, you can help me mama, or he can help me papa. But if the sensory system and the brain foundation is ready to learn a thing, if you will try only 1 or 2 times, then he may learn it at once. Okay, so you need to understand the brain function, where it is lacking. Okay, so this is gonna most important slide, because I need to talk about how occupational therapy form the basis for speech, behavior, and educational development. And you may have come across this pyramid, because this is very important. This is pyramid of central nervous system, how it works. I already explained that brain readiness is important for any kind of learning. Brain forms the major part of the central nervous system. So we are talking about brain and central nervous system, how they work really. The blue component, I am going to talk about very less about it, but you need to understand it. The blue components are responsible for the development of the green components. The blue components are sensory systems. Okay, these are basic for anything, So these blue systems are, you almost know about, I think everybody knows about it: tactile, vestibular, proprioception, auditory, gustatory. These systems are collaboratively work for the next level, that is green components, that is sensory motor development components. The sensory motor development components are very important, because that gives a postural security. If you are not feeling safe in a place, you are not going to learn. Because if you are in a classroom and you're scared about something, that your teacher is gonna beat you, or the teacher is gonna ask you something very difficult question, so it will be very insecurity like that. When you are at a place and you are not feeling posturally secured, I mean, you are feeling like a fall, you will be falling down, you're losing your balance, it's very difficult to learn anything. Likewise, the awareness of two sides of body is equally important, because when you are doing any task, example, you are opening a bottle, you need to hold stable with one hand, and you need to move your other hand to open it or close it. So every activity in a single day needs awareness of two sides of the body. Okay, next is motor planning. Obviously, even if you know, actually we are going to talk a lot about motor planning today. If you know one thing, one skill is already achieved, but still you are not able to initiate it, still you are not able to prioritize it, then you are not going to learn it. So like that, there are lots of green other components which are responsible for further development of yellow ones, which are perceptual motor development. Perceptual motor development are very important if you want to learn about language skills and speech and academics, because there is eye-hand coordination, there is visual spatial perception, there is attention centers, these are postural adjustment, oculomotor control. These all are important for academics achievements. Without these components, you cannot achieve You cannot sit, you cannot look at the board, you cannot look at the books. Very difficult if these skills are not achieved. And obviously auditory language skills are very important too, because language is the base of speech development. If there is no expressive and receptive language development, then there is the speech difficulties will always be there. Okay. And eye hand coordination, postural adjustments, these are very important for imitation skills. As you know, everyone, I think imitation skills are very important for the development of speech, because speech comes from gross motor imitation, then fine motor imitation, then oral motor imitation, then vocalization, monosyllables, bisyllables. These are step by step procedures which generally the child gets from from the 0 months to 12 months. So they get with these steps actually. So these yellow components are very important to develop. And after that, there will be daily living activities, behavior, and academic learning. So what I want to say is, to achieve academic learning, behavior, or speech skills, you need to have those blue strong, those green strong, those yellow strongs. Okay, without that, it's like you have your pizza base is not strong enough to add on toppings over that. Okay, because your pizza base is very what I can say, it's very liquidish, or it's not hard enough, it's very soft. So this is very difficult. Okay. Pramodji or Sangeeta ji, anybody present, can you see this slide?
No, ma'am, slide is not visible.
That is available now.
Slide is not visible?
Yeah, please share it again.
It's already shared actually. Okay, let me do it again.
Okay, is it available now to others?
Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, I think this is okay. You can continue.
Okay. Shall I resume? Hello?
Hello, Swati. Yes, you can continue, Swati. I think the slide is visible.
Okay.
People who cannot see the, you are not able to see the slide, please pin it on.
Okay. Yeah.
Please pin the slide.
So
okay.
You
can continue.
So let's talk. Yeah, let's start with autism definition. Like here we have already talked, and everybody knows what is the definition. But why I have added this definition, because the DSM-5 module, which is actually American Psychiatric Association of Diagnostic and Statistic Manual 5th edition, it provides a standardized criteria to help diagnose a lot of disorder. According to them, the symptoms are social communication impairment, behavioral problems including restricted interest and repetitive behaviors, and sensory issues. Sensory issues is a symptom under the restricted repeated behavior category. This includes hyper or hyporeactivity to stimulus or unusual interest in stimuli. So why I've included this slide, because there is an important information, that is addition of sensory issues which were not there before modules in the DSM-4 or 3, because they have not mentioned the sensory issues thing. Why it is important? Because this confirms that there is a major role of an OT intervention in autism intervention. Okay. Here an example I'm giving, that in classroom how we learn, how it is important to know about the sensory symptoms. Imagine you are a very bright student of your class. This is an example. I'm starting again. Imagine that you are a very bright student of your class, but one day your teacher is teaching something very important which require a continuous mental effort to understand. Okay. Now let's imagine a situation where you are very sleepy, maybe because you didn't sleep that last night. Then imagine how will be your understanding of that lecture. Will you be able to understand? even if your teacher is explaining in small steps and very different playful way, you're not going to get it anyway, because your brain is shut down at that time. You are sleepy, and the optimum level of functioning is not there. Okay, your ears are listening maybe, but the brain is not acquiring at all. This is a classical example of brain functioning in autism. The brain is not functioning in optimum level most of the time, not because they are sleepy, because their brain is not processing in a optimum way. They are listening. They are listening that you're calling by their name, but their brain is not processing. They're not able to filter out that what is the purpose, why my mom is calling, is my mom calling, to do what mom is calling. So it's very difficult because the brain is not working in optimum level. So you will say that okay, because of our sensory systems are not functioning in our optimal range, we are shut. Okay, so now you may have some questions in your mind that why is it so? What are these sensory systems? Why are these not working properly in my child's brain? So to answer that, I would like to say that autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder, okay, in which the research says that there are SI dysfunctions in almost all the cases. So if you'll ask that why it is so, I really don't know why it is so, because the brain are wired like that. So I'm not going to give you any details of SI dysfunction or SI therapy here, or because I assume a lot of parents are already aware of it. And importantly, there are a lot more than just SI in an OT intervention, because here I am present to explain you that other than SI, there are a lot other OT interventions present for which you should take an OT intervention for autism spectrum disorder. But I would highlight here that OT intervention for autism has to have include SI intervention, but not just SI, not just SI. Okay. We can take any issue of your child which is preventing your child's occupation, any occupation, is related to brain's dysfunction. As I said earlier that all the occupations are related to brain functions. Likewise, if there is any issue with those occupations, then it is related to brain's dysfunction. Okay, brain's development is not proper. Okay, in here, hence an occupational therapy intervention, as the issues with occupation is related to brain's dysfunction. So an OT intervention is based on scientific approaches and evidence-based practice. It's not just like it's a like if you're using craft as an intervention strategy, then we are just like that. We are using craft as intervention strategy, because in craft we are working towards eye-hand coordination. We are working towards their self-regulation, to improve their inner motivation, to improve their fine motor functions. There are a lot of things which we are trying to improve in a single activity of craft. It's beyond the scope of a particular webinar to discuss about all the areas where you need an OT intervention. But here I want to discuss a few so that we will have a clear idea that why you need a OT for consultation. So this is a clear picture that actually occupational therapists work in every context. Context means any situation, be it home, be it school, be it malls, be it worship places like temples and those things, where you need that my child should be regulated, you can have an OT intervention or assessment. Performance components means sensory components, motor components, visual perceptual components, auditory perceptual components, cognitive, psychosocial components. These are components. In these areas, your OTist work. And areas means ADL, academics, behavior, comprehension, communication, leisure. These are your areas where an occupational therapist work in every context, in every components, and every area. Okay. So I just want to discuss about it. That you may have heard that your OT is working on various intervention strategies. When you have attended any OT sessions, you must have heard like gross motor milestones, imitation skills, fine motor milestones, pre-writing and writing skills, sensory integration, bilateral use of hand, balance and safety awareness, independent aerial skills, oromotor skills and feeding skills, some visual perceptual skills, and communication, classroom modification, cognitive training, executive functions training, behavior, fixations, development of coping strategies, emotions, etc. There are lots of areas where a therapist can work. If you'll say that my child is having problem with communication, then they can have in SI sessions or in motor sessions, they will work on communication too. So all those areas an OT can touch. Okay. So about all these, maybe many parents are already aware of. Maybe in future webinars we will talk about any of these areas. Here is an example of how an OT works. I'm going to talk about one more area where we work, that is motor planning. Motor planning. Because if a child has a good motor planning, then only you can think of automatic learning. Then you will say, what is this automatic learning? Because everything you cannot teach to your child. You will think that when we get autism diagnosis, we are generally said that you have to learn them everything. But actually, it's not possible that you will learn them everything: communication, expression, emotions, academic achievements. There are lots to do. So it will be better, or it will be best if we will work like we are giving 10 and he is also doing some more, 2 or 3 at least. Okay, there should be automatic learning. There should be capacity to learn automatically. So that can be improved if there will be good motor planning. Okay. So one of the important areas of OT intervention is motor planning. Okay. So sometimes even if we condition the child's learning by repeated practice, okay, we are conditioned. Like we generally teach them how to wear a dress. We teach them how to hold the pencil. So some few things actually childs learn by repeated practice. Still, we fail in automatic learning many of the time. The reason is lack of motor planning, what I said earlier. Sometimes child's, example I'm giving, sometimes child's visual perception skills are there, but he may not initiate the task due to lack of planning. Every time you may need to guide your child by a minimum physical or verbal or visual prompt to start the already learned task. Thus the child is not able to explore various things. Like example, the child already know that how to brush your teeth. You have already conditioned that, okay? But every time you need to say a verbal prompt or visual prompt to say that, yes, you start by like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You may need to give, though he knows he's independent. Okay, one kid is there with me who already is independent of all ADL function tasks, but still his mom should be there aside. Her mom says that still he does everything on his own, but still I need to be there. Why? What is the reason? Because of lack of motor planning. Okay, he doesn't know how to prioritize. What are the steps? Am I doing right or wrong? He needs confirmation for that. Okay, so even if a person, a kid know how to form a letter, but still sometimes we need to have just a touch. That some parents say me that he needs little bit touch. If I will touch only, he can direct and we can do the formations. That is that may be lack of motor planning. That may be due to lack of motor planning. So there are a hell lot of examples I can give in every task. Every task, they need, some kids, actually most of the kids I have seen that they have a lack of motor planning. It can contribute to lack of motor planning or lack of executive functions. Okay, now you will say what are executive functions? Executive function is a general umbrella term which is used to describe a variety of cognitive skills involving self-regulation, mental effort, mental control of behavior, decision-making, attention, working memory, cognitive flexibility, forward thinking, planning, and organization. So these are, it's a umbrella term, executive functions. And praxis, which I told, motor planning, which is otherwise called as praxis, is the ability to recognize the affordances of objects, like this object is there or not, how to put it, how to put the brush into it.
Ma'am, you are mute. Somebody muted you.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please continue.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
Swati ji, you are audible now. Please continue.
Yeah, just a minute. I don't know why I'm not able to share the screen.
Swati, your screen is also sharing. You can continue. We can see the
Okay,
screen
okay.
as well.
So yes, yes. So here I just wanted to describe between the umbrella term executive functions and motor planning, and there are a lot of difference between them, where praxis and motor planning is very immediate, and executive functions are very broad, very broad. It requires the whole day to do any task. Okay? So that is the thing, that everything. Have you ever imagined the reason behind all these problems can be inability to plan? Okay. Okay, what does inability to plan look like? If your child has poor organization, there is clumsiness in movement, then there is not a swift movement. There is poor safety awareness, increased injuries, increased need for control, fearful reactions to new situations, decreased flexibility, they insist on sameness, decreased initiation of activities, isolation from peers, there is ADL dependence, poor material management, they are very messy, they have repetitive play, they have language and speech delay, they have academics difficulty. You may think of inability to plan is the reason. It may be a reason. Okay. Um, okay, then how to deal with this? How we work? We can work on motor planning with various ways in every activity. You just don't need only a structured environment in a clinical setting or so. You can work in any activity, any activity. We just need two things here. How we work, we need two things here. One is giving enough of opportunity. What we do in generally, that if a child is not able to do something, we generally give a physical prompt or a verbal prompt or a visual prompt or a kinesthetic prompt. Okay, but before that, before giving or before approaching for the prompt, give sufficient time or sufficient opportunity, sufficient reputation, so that they can think that okay, I can do that. They may be failure, but that's okay. I think they will learn from that failure. So one is giving opportunity to initiate any task, be it a gross motor task, be it a fine motor task, be it an aerial task, be it a communication task, emotions, anything. We can combine the opportunity to plan with sensory activities too, in different contexts, be it school, be it park, be it in bathroom. Okay, like example, a child is doing some craft activity and some water fell down. So what we generally do, that we bring a cloth and we start to mop it. Let them give some opportunity. They may think of mopping it, so they may bring a cloth and they may start doing it literally. Okay, so it's not just only we need sensory area, or we need any structured play to work on motor planning, because lots of parents ask me that how to improve the motor planning. It does not always find tasks where we work on blocks or magnets or dot matrix, where we work with obstacle courses. We generally do obstacle courses for motor planning thing only. Most of the time, the reason behind obstacle course is motor planning. So it's not always those things. Like example, we have taken a child to the park, and we are giving options that can we go to slide, can we go to there, can we go there. Instead of doing there, wait for the communication. They may initiate the communication. They may initiate the interest. They may not go to any equipments. They may want to walk on the grass. So you need to give them that opportunity. Okay, that is the first thing important. Second is let them start, let them learn with their success and failure. Let them feel the inner motivation to do something. If you always order them that do this, then do this, then do this, though that is also required some time, but sometime when we are only working for motor planning, then you need to give them opportunity to fail. Okay, it may take a lot of time, but you should give the opportunity. OT intervention. Okay, now I'm coming back to my OT intervention thing, that OT intervention is beyond structural and clinical intervention. If you think that OTs only work in a clinical settings, no, it's not like that always. It's not always about external feedback or motivation. It's also about creating inner drive, which is one of the core principles of sensory education and OT intervention, that we always should work on how to improve the inner drive. We are always working to give reinforcement. We always are very structured play. We need structured play in a day. At least for few hours, we need structured play also, because they learn disciplines, they learn a lot of things through structured play. But there should be some time where we need to give some scope, where there will be inner drive, inner motivation will come. Okay, and that is also one of the principles of sensory integration. Next is SI means sensory integration. Here I am meaning sensory integration is not just jumping, bouncing, swinging, or heavy joint activity. These are not only SI. These are only sensory experiences. Okay, SI is about creating adaptive responses and developing inner motivation to do something or to acquire a skill. Okay, why I am talking here about SI is, generally parents think that SI is like we are going to occupational therapist and SI we are doing. Other than that, also there are lots of things with, like I talked about motor planning. There are fine motor skills. There are leisure activities. There are planning activities. There are ADL activities. There are lots of other areas which we generally forgets, and we mainly focus on SI. And we think that if a child is jumping, bouncing, why my autist is saying that jumping is very important, swinging is very important. Yes, these are important, because these are only going to give us stimulus. But only doing those activities without creating the opportunity for adaptive response is a failure. Okay, so we need to acquire a skill, and SI is going to form the foundation of that skill. Skill may be, okay, what is skill? Skill may be behavior, skill may be gross motor skill, like packing your bag. SI can be eating with your own hand, and fine motor skills like handwriting. There is motor skills, independently move in a staircase, independently buy something from a place, independently manage your money management, time management. These all areas are coming under skill. Okay, now this is going to be my last slide, and it's very important slide, because how can you incorporate OT activities at home other than the clinical OT sessions? I'm not saying that these are the only things, because other than the OT clinical sessions, what else you can do at home? Because lots of time parents ask me about sensory diet. what we should do at home, I always prefer to give them this list because other than the clinical things, what we can do at home, the general, the natural environment which we can give to a child. Let's take them to beach areas. Let's take them to some zoo, maybe where they can play among themselves with kids, with parks. These all are always there. Okay, outdoor visits and lots of sensory experiences through those visits. Those are very important. Other than that, engaging in independent ADLs, be it basic ADL, BADL means basic ADL, or IADL, that is instrumental ADL. These are very important. Basic ADL, everybody know, grooming, eating. We always say that my child has these much limitations. So how he or she can be independent? Even if I'm trying, he's not able to do. But actually, if you will focus on those ADL skills can improve your eye-hand coordination. Those ADL skills can improve her independence, her responsibility, her inner motivation. If he will be happy, independent in every activities, then he can be a more happy child. And what are IADL? IADL are instrumental ADLs, are those activities that allow an individual to live independently in a community. Example, cooking and maybe other things, cleaning, transportation, maybe laundry with mother, maybe managing finances with father, mother. This ADL independence actually promotes a child's quality of life and their parents' quality of life. Okay. So these are very important, and you can literally start from all the ADL independence, be it basic, or if your child is already independent in basic ADL, then engage him in getting the instrumental ADL. Second is engaging in house chores. It may improve house chores means anything. Example, very good example is pouring water, filling the bottle, and packing bags, and sorting the vegetables, and then there are lots of things there which is included in household chores. Doing the laundry, these are very good examples where and what I'm trying to say is not just only instructing that okay, go and do this laundry. You just put all the clothes into the washing machine and switch on the machine. This is not the job done. If he will be independent, okay, with the safety precautions, of course. If he's independent, like he knows that every day I have a war, that is I have to put all my clothes or all the dirty clothes in the washing machine, then the job is done. He needs to be independent in that. It's not about just you are saying, "Go bring the bottle." Yes, open the water purifier and fill the water. Okay, close the lid. If you are saying every steps, then it's not going to help. But if only one house chores is there where your child is helping you independently, and he feels the responsibility that this work belongs to me and I need to do that. Example, folding of clothes. All the clothes you need to fold every day. I don't need to say you. Then that is going to improve his self-esteem. Yes, that I'm a member of this family, and this is my work and I need to do it. So he will learn the sense of confidence, sense of responsibility, sense of sharing. So when my parents ask me for sensory diet, I literally say them that please do laundry, okay? Because ask them to do laundry or fill the bottles and those things. Okay, next is this is very important, exploring new ways of doing things through object use imitation. There is a major symptom of autism diagnosis is repetitive play or restrictive interest. This is a very important thing. They generally don't know if there is a ball, they know that we need to catch and throw, or we need to play. These are the only things they know about ball. But if you can make them learn various ways of using any object or any item, they can explore some more. They can dribble the ball, they can hit the ball, they can just punch the ball, They can track the ball. Okay, there are lots of things. They can hold the ball with the legs and do exercise. If you teach them various use of one particular thing, then it will be very easy for them to come out of that repetitiveness of playing or solitariness of that playing. Okay, so just give them opportunity to explore doing things with a single item. Okay, next is creating good sensory experiences with providing scope for adaptive responses. What does this mean actually? Sensory experiences like playing with soap bubbles. Okay, example I'm saying sensory experiences means there is a tactile experience, that is playing with soap bubbles. If we are giving that opportunity, because that is included in my sensory diet, so I'm going to do a active tactile play today. So with that, you need to achieve an adaptive response. That may be independence in bathing. Your aim is independence in bathing, and you are using a sensory experience of soap bubbles, playing with soap bubbles. Okay, maybe playing with pulses, that is active tactile play, where we are asked to play pulses. After a few seconds, you are asking him to sort the pulses or to scan an object from that pulses. By that, his eye-hand coordination will be better. By that, his sorting skills will be better. By that, his attention will be better, and he can achieve a lot of adaptive responses and skills from out of that single play. Okay, swinging. Swinging is very important. As we say, it provides lots of vestibular stimulus. So vestibular system is very important for our body. But what if the child is self-propelling with the swing, and he's able to improve his motor plan and body awareness if he's self-propelling the swing? So there can be a lot of examples where I will say that one more example I want to give rolling a tire. Okay, rolling a tire is a very good heavy joint activity. But if we'll ask our child to move it into a particular direction or a particular path, then it is going to improve his lot of motor skills and eye-hand coordination and attention, judgment skills. So these are very important. Environmental awareness. So these are very important. Okay, next is promoting leisure skills. Leisure skills are very important. Be it a child, be it an adult, we need me time, right? As we need me time, children also needs me time. Leisure skills are important because it provides engagement of children. Every time you cannot line up that after this my child is going to do this, then he's going to do this, then he's going to. Okay, he needs a time where he can engage himself. Okay, he can learn and engage in their preferred activity purposefully. Like one child likes to do gardening, sports, dancing, craft, singing. There are lots, and you need to identify where my child is having interest or where he can be independent. Sorry. So next is introducing functional academics on daily basis. Functional academics means it's different from normal academics. You may have heard about it. It includes the skills which your child will need to cope with their daily functions, like measurement of quantity, counting objects, maybe clock, maybe how to navigate. There are lots where which is not exactly included in academics, but which he needs in his future to be a better individual. Next is create contriving situations for comprehending and expressing emotions. Okay, creating situations where there will be dynamic learning or transfer of learning to comprehend and express themselves. Example, if you have you have taught your child to say thank you, but when it is needed, he is not expressing. So what you will do, you will create such situations at home where you will teach him that you need to say thank you here. Okay. Example, you are making them understand through expression cards that what is angry face, what is happy face, or what is sad face. But if in real life situation you are creating such situations and you are working on those skills, it will be more helpful. Okay, understanding of life concepts which are important for their future. So be it academics, be it like relationships, bonding, those things, and healthy social participation. You can go to your neighbor, you can go to your nearest shopkeeper, and you are trying to create a social participation there. Be like people will judge you, those things, but you always give them the opportunity to participate in society. Okay, so I think this is my topic altogether, and I'm here for the question answer thing. Sangeeta ji?
Swati, it was a very fruitful session and the explanation was so good.
Thank you.
So I'm opening this for parents. Please, parents, if you have any questions, you can ask.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Ma'am, my kid is hyperactive. He's 2.5 years old,
Yeah.
and whenever he does independent activities, any activity I give, he can do on his own. How do I take his session? If I increase, for example, if my aim is 15 minutes sitting, I give him 3 activities, and now slowly I add 2 more activities. He will increase his speed of doing activities, and at the end, I will just have a 15-minute session again. So should I intervene and in his independent activity, like do this, do that, or what?
No, actually, at the age of 2.5, they have a very good curiosity. Okay, they are very curious to learn a lot of things. So in few, and that is a toddlerhood age. So I think you should be making or giving opportunities so that he can learn independently or engage independently. But other than that, you do some tricks where he will need your presence. He will be demanding for things that mama be there or help me. Like example, a very good example, you hide something, okay? So he will search and he will not get, and he may come to you and ask, like you are giving him a pegboard maybe, or maybe some shapes, and you are purposefully hiding that, okay? So he will come to you, and he may ask for your help. Like that, I think in those 15 minutes duration, it should be more of, because he's 2.5, it should be more of bonding. Okay? He should need it. Those activities should include contriving situations he really needs.
Okay, so I should not do the way I'm doing. Like I put 4 or 5 activities in front of him, and one by one I give him, and he does that. So this
So
should
that
not
is
be the
not
way.
going to improve his inner motivation. You can do one thing, you keep 4 or 5 things or 10 things maybe, and you ask which one you want to do. Okay, he may point. So with that, his pointing may also improve, and you can do
He
like
just
this.
wants to run away. He just wants to finish an activity and run away. His reinforcer is when I finish an activity, mommy lets me go. He just wants to run whole day. So that is his
Okay.
reinforcer.
Okay, if he's running away, and so there should be. If he's running away, then genuinely he's not interested in any of the activity you are going to do.
That is
If, like,
his hyperactivity.
yes. So your purpose should be improving the motivation. Okay, improving the motivation means there must be some things where he will have interest. Example, I'm saying water, pulses. These are the things where child really feel interested. Okay, you can take a container of water, and inside that you can put some blocks or shapes, and you say that okay, you do. I will give some time to play with the water or pulses. There must be some things which
So it will just make a 2-3 minute activity. Then I won't have a 15 minutes sitting with him. He will just
No,
finish
no.
it in 2-3 minutes.
No, that will be, maybe that will be the last activity, and you say that your reinforcer is now water. Your reinforcer is no more going away. Okay, he has he has actually learned you that you will use the motivation. His reinforcer is going away, so you change the motivation now, you change the reinforcement now, and bring it back to water play or the play which he wants really.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I can see some Sonia, Sangeeta ji, is there some question? Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. I just have a general question. Ma'am, there are some therapists who do SI and OT together in the same session, and in some places, SI is done differently and OT is done in different sessions. So we have to opt for which one. This is a
Actually,
something.
SI is SI. Yeah, yes. Do you have any other question or?
Yeah, ma'am. This is the only question. Please clarify this thing.
Yes. Actually, SI is a core area of OT. Core. Do you understand? Like SI is a core of OT. Actually, I'm not saying that other persons cannot practice this. There will be lots of discussions over here only, but it's a core area. I'm saying that if there is an intervention for autism and there is an OT intervention, then SI should, not always, but should, most of the time, it includes SI. OT session includes SI, but not only SI. Okay, SI is all about forming the foundation of your child. Okay, but other than that, you need to work on the skills. If you are not going to work on the skills, be it the ADL skill, be it the academic skill, be it the communication skill, whatever you adaptive response you want from a child from a single session, it should include SI and skill building.
But ma'am, when we go for a session which includes both, then is the sensory diet enough for the kid? Like 45 minute session is there.
No,
45
actually,
minute
if
session
there is
is
no
there.
adaptive response, if there is no adaptive response
Yeah.
in that particular session, single session, then you are not going to fulfill the sensory diet. But what I mean to say, the sensory diet also, आप जान नहीं पाओगे, मे बी उस थेरेपिस्ट के दिमाग में कुछ ऐसा होगा अडेप्टिव रिस्पॉन्स, लाइक जैसे कि शायद वो कम्युनिकेट करना चाहता है बच्चे के साथ, रैपो बिल्डअप करना चाहता है, या तो फिर उसकी फियर कम करना चाहता है नॉर्मल सिचुएशन से, ये भी हो सकता है उसकी अडेप्टिव रिस्पॉन्स. अडेप्टिव रिस्पॉन्स का मतलब ये नहीं कि सिर्फ मैं बोल रही हूँ कि वो he is able to communicate or he is able to do ADL functions or he is able to do this or that. Adaptive responses also include कि अगर उसको fear है, वो अपने आप को कम्युनिकेट नहीं कर पा रहा है, वो पोस्चरल एडजस्टमेंट्स नहीं कर पा रहा है, वो सब इम्पोर्टेंट है जो हमने देखा है उस CNS पिरामिड में, that postural adjustment, motor planning, these are important for the higher level functions. So maybe the therapist is also working on those areas along with giving the sensory diet. Okay?
Fine, ma'am. Fine. Thank you so much.
You need to communicate with the therapist actually. Okay?
Yeah, ma'am. Because the therapist which I'm working with right now, she said that she's working on the overall development of the kid. So she said
yes,
sensory diet will be fulfilled in 45 minute session itself with the combination of both SI and OT.
Yes, you can ask, like you should communicate, and you can ask that on which adaptive response you are working. What is the adaptive response which you're focusing maybe? Okay, you can
Fine,
ask that.
ma'am. Sure.
Yes.
I'm going to ask in the next session. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other parents?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It's not audible actually. It's actually not audible at all. Sangeeta ji, can you? Because I'm not able to hear.
Yeah, parents who are speaking now, could you please type your question in the chat box? You are not audible. Please introduce yourself and type it in your chat box. Meanwhile, Mr. Lawrence, do you have any questions? Go ahead. Not clearly.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Myself, Ekta here, ma'am. Good evening. My son is 15 years. Can you hear me,
Yeah.
ma'am?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
I can.
Yeah, ma'am. He's very good with his household chores, and he's appearing for his 10th exams also, NOIS preparation. But he gets sometimes he gets some fixations about some song he's interested, or some work. Like every time he wants to write for my friend only, or these are all behavior issues, or how you contribute to this. And I'm interested to take your sessions if you give 1:1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes. So answering your first question is
Yeah.
fixations and how, as an occupational therapist, I contribute to it.
Yes.
Actually, what happens? What is the reason for the fixations? Because most of the kids with autism, they actually, we generally as parents have the problem of fixations, as professionals also. And honestly speaking, we all have these fixations as maybe typical individuals also. We have fixations. We want, like, the bed should be here, the almirah should be here. So more or less the fixations are there in everybody's life, so they have also. But what is the reason that these fixations make them almost non-functional? They want to write on my friend, so always he wants to write on my friend, right? So
Yeah.
the major reason, as like we can conclude, is they generally do those things in which they are confident, okay, and they know that I'm good at it, and I can do it, okay. And the second reason is they really feel confident because of, like, what I said in that central nervous system thing, that there is a postural insecurity. Okay, every kid has. If he's 15 years old, so sometimes he may have some postural insecurity. They may have some other lackings. Okay, so due to those skills have not established, generally our children, they want. So everything should be fixed, okay. The mat should be yellow, the bedsheet should be green. They have some kind of fixations.
Yeah.
The result, like what we can do in those things, is improve their confidence, okay. And like, say that it is fine, and it is also fine. You want to write my friend, it's okay, we'll write that, but first you write this. First you complete this,
Yeah.
this one.
Yes.
Okay, then you will
Yes.
do these things. Okay,
Yeah.
that can be used as a reinforcer. By
Yeah.
that he will get motivation. And second is lack of independence in their skills. Sometimes
Yeah.
what happens, we teach them pegboards, or we teach them some drawing, and we always guide. No, do horizontal or do vertical. But
Yes.
sometimes we actually let them do on their own. Okay,
Yeah.
they want
Yeah.
to. Okay, let them do for some time. But at the end, you make them, okay, this is correct, this is not right, so try not to do this. So as there is lack of independence in what they want, they generally do those things which is correct, which they know that this is correct, and I'm not going to be punished, or I'm not going to be judged for that.
Yeah.
So they always wanted to do those things.
Ma'am, actually, he doesn't like me to give directions also. He is very good with his ADL activities now, very helpful with washing utensils, mopping, cleaning the car, garage, managing things at home. That way, he's very cooperative child. But sometimes, he gets in the whole day he is at home. He has repeated speech also. That echocolia is, that disturbs him. He has a repeated speech. He's so I want something with learning processing, like with the speech language part, to work with you, or giving him some sensory sessions. as per your advice.
That
Yeah.
you can connect with me later.
Okay.
There is my phone number with Pramodji and this autism group also on there. And what I'm trying to say is, it's fine that he's independent in its BADL and also in IADL, but
Yeah.
is he responsible for that? Does he know that if I'm not going to do the laundry, or if I'm not going to do doing the washing, the garage thing, then nobody is going to do the cleaning up the garage. He should know that this is my responsibility. Okay.
Yeah, that's what he's getting into it because of this pandemic time. Now he has many more things to do, or what he likes, like more of the fine art work with the coding, programming, like whatever are his skills. Like I'm promoting him more and motivating him also. He's very good with fine arts. Music is his
Yes.
passion, and dancing he's learning, online classes. So बट ही गेट्स नो समटाइम मैम, जैसे कभी दिन में एक बार उसका ऐसे टाइम आता है कि वो मतलब हाइपर हो ही जाता है एक बार, जैसे शाम को, या और बार बार कहता है मुझे बाहर लेके जाओ. मैंने बेटा बाहर तो जा नहीं सकते हैं. आई इवन कॉल हिज कोच ऑल्सो, फिटनेस कोच. ही कम्स देयर एट होम. सो आई जस्ट स्टार्टेड. ही अपनी नीड्स बता देता है मैम, जैसे कि मेरे को अब मतलब कोच सर बुला लो आप, या डांस क्लास लगा दो. और मैम आजकल गाने लिखता है. ही हैज मेड अ नोटबुक, या लिरिक्स लिखता है मैम सारे. लाइक रिसेंटली अ पर्सन like KK, he's his favorite, or whatever musician. So he has that ghazal also, he learns. So likhne laga hai. That is the way of his learning. Do you feel, is it okay with all this?
Yes, it's like perfect. And generally there is a word called savant, which
Yeah.
means that they have some unusual kind of interest, or
Yes.
they have not unusual. It's very good. You need to develop and you need to reinforce that skill. You need to work on his maybe future engagement or employment or something like that. Yes, you need to
But
reinforce that.
rather, I want your a little bit of some more sessions with you. That's what my request is.
Yeah, Sangeeta ji and Neeraj ji, can you please guide ma'am to do so?
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much.
We'll share
Yeah.
her contact number in the group, and you can also find the same video in YouTube.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
It's going too much of personal requests. So, shall we have some common questions from parents if you have anything? Parents? Okay. I think there are no more questions from parents. It is almost like 7 now. So, it's getting late for the therapist also. So, shall we give send off to her? Yeah. Okay. So I conclude that there are no more questions now. And if parents, if you have
Hello.
any questions in future, yeah, Bhupender Rahman, please go ahead.
Ma'am, I just want to know, is there any way to improve my daughter's receptive language? She doesn't understand the instructions or the words we are talking about.
Are you already taking sessions from your SLPs?
We are taking OT, but right now, because of this time, we are not going for OT.
Okay. Because you need to work with your SLP also, and in OT session you can include lots of command following in your session. Okay, the command following should contribute to go to the swing, point, where is fan. So these kind of things you need to work on receptive, and you can also include the everyday used objects, like you can put on the table, you can put a phone, you can put a brush, you can put a comb, and maybe some active, maybe pencil. So some objects which are very common to use. Okay, so you can keep and you can say like, where is the phone? Okay, I need my phone. I want to talk. Okay, so if he has those receptive knowledge of common objects, okay, like he can put up the brush and give you, if you say brush, give me brush, I want to do brush, or give me comb, I want to comb my hair. Okay, if he's doing that, he's having that knowledge or identification of common objects. Then you can add some action words with that. Okay, like I want to comb my hair, or I want to maybe take a bath. So what I need, give me that. So you can
She knows the use of the object, but she doesn't know the name of the object.
does she know the name of the objects?
No. She knows the use of the object, but doesn't know the name of the object.
Yes. So what you will do, that you include that object with the actions. You keep it on the table and you say,
Okay.
I want to comb my hair. Give me.
Okay.
Okay. मुझे ना ब्रश करना है और मुझे खाना है. किससे खाऊं? चल दे मुझे. जब वो दे देगा,
Okay.
then you say spoon. Okay, so
Okay.
when you associate the function with the word, it is more easier. And धीरे धीरे आपको क्या करना है, वो function नहीं बोलना है, सिर्फ action दिखाना है. और if he is giving it to you, okay, either way, if he is doing with the verbs, so he can pick it up. If he is doing with the actions, pick it up. Then fade those prompts and just give me that spoon. Give me the spoon.
Okay.
I need to eat. Okay. So you just made some vocabulary of 10 words, 10 common objects words. Then
Okay.
you add some other words like fan, the far objects, the fan, the AC, the door, the wash basin.
Okay. First we have to do it with nearby objects, then we have to include the far by objects.
Now I am everyday used objects.
Everyday used objects. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you able to hear him, ma'am?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Ma'am, actually, my son is going to OT from almost 1.5 years, ma'am.
Yeah.
And because of this lockdown period, it has been 6 months we stopped with OT. And every day, how much ever possible at home, I'm making him do like animal walks, jumping, climbing, all those things. The problem which I'm facing now is actually from 1 week, 2 weeks is like this sensory speaking has been increased. Like everything, like especially he wants to drop things from his head so that he can touch his face. And unusual things like taking tea powder and putting on the surface of the hand, or whatever the items, he just wants to feel that on the surface of his hand, ma'am. That's one question, ma'am. The second question is like, when very first when we didn't even diagnose he's having autism, he was running in a spiral way, ma'am, like round and round. After we started his therapy, it had been completely stopped for 2.5 years, ma'am. But again, this 2 weeks, again, he started running or in a spiral way, round and round, at that too very fast, ma'am. Can you please explain me why is that happening? Is that because of diet or because of OT has been reduced to the level of his hyper?
Yeah. I'm going to address this question, these two questions in a single answer. Is what happens actually when we're giving a child a sensory diet, we should always think about adaptive response. Okay, you're doing animal walk, you're doing running, you're doing swings. These are very important for us. Okay, these are very important for our kids. But what happens? We always forget about the adaptive responses. Okay, if the child is doing animal walk and along with that he is communicating with you, or he is doing some activity with that, then he's learning from that. Then what happens? There is a skill building. Along with sensory diet, skill building is equally important. If there will be no skills, how his time will be engaged? If the time of the day is not engaged, it cannot be always like, you cannot be always there with him, right? So when you are not with him, he needs to be engaged. And if there will be no skills, no independent skills, so what he will do? He will engage in some things which is unusual for you, like running and swinging and rotation and those things. But it's not unusual for him, because that is the only thing where he can involve himself. because that is the only thing where he is independent. He doesn't need you. Oh, how he will manage his time? Okay, that is unusual for you. That is sensory seeking for you, but for him, it is the only way he can engage himself. Okay, here I am not denying the fact of giving sensory diet to your child. Yes, it's obviously it is important, it's very important, but along with that you need to work on his skill building. Okay, if there will be no skills, he will have no skills. So this is the only way he can engage himself. Okay.
Okay. So Swati, it was really fruitful session. Time is getting ended now. It is already 6:20 now. So shall we close off the session? And if parents, if you have too many questions, please address in the group. We will have a separate session for question and answer with Swati ma'am. Thanks parents. Thank you all. And Swati ma'am, special thanks to you too.
Thank you so much.
I will get back to parents' feedback ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Sylvie, for such a wonderful session.
And if someone wants to get into my thing, then you can log into octave.com or you can connect to Pramodji. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Swati ma'am. We will surely share your contact information in the group. Thank you.